Welcome back to the Let's Ditch Misophonia channel. You might notice that I'm in a different location and I just thought I would mix it up. It is a lovely day outside, so I wanted to sit in our Three Seasons room that we call our pet porch and film out here today. So same channel, different location. In today's video though, I want to talk about why misophonia seems so just sticky. Why does it feel like it's so hard to get away from and so hard to eliminate? And why does it feel like just such a challenge to deal with? And I want to cover 5 points on that today, because I think if we can break it down and we can understand it a bit more, it can motivate us to actually do the work that is needed to remove this pattern and live misophonia free. So it starts with understanding what's going on in the mind, what's going on in the brain, how things are working. So that's what I want to talk about today. So why is misophonia so sticky? Why does it feel so difficult to get rid of? Number one, because it is automatic. That reaction to a particular noise is happening so quickly. You hear a noise and it's like you go through all the stages of the pattern. So if we think about the pattern of misophonia, how I typically describe it is your mind hears a sound, decides for whatever reason that that sound is a threat. It creates an emotion within you to then get you to take an action. And that action is designed to eliminate the threat or get away from it. And it seems like, oh, well, if that's the whole process, like there's so many steps, it feels like we should be able to interrupt it, but it's happening so quickly. It's happening in like half a second, if that. And it's not one of those things where it builds up over time. It's so quick. It's so automatic. And so when I'm working with clients, one of the things that I suggest is really celebrating the tiny wins, because where we put our attention, that's where our energy goes, and we create more of that. So if we can celebrate even the tiniest wins, we're going to create more of that progress. And that's why I also suggest with starting by just observing your thoughts and getting familiar with them. Because that process is happening so quickly, it's happening in an instant. If you want to change that pattern, how are you going to do that if you don't first know what it is? So just getting familiar with your thought process and how it works. So maybe there's a sound, a reaction happens, and then it's, okay, let me walk backwards. Let me see, how did I get from point A to point B? And just becoming familiar with what kind of thoughts are going through your head, what kind of emotions are coming up for you. Being able to observe that first is then going to make it easier later to do the work to shift that reaction to something that's going to be more useful. And number two, it's such an emotional process. Your mind, your unconscious mind, where these emotions are created or generating from, your unconscious mind doesn't really care if you feel bad or good. Your unconscious mind is focused on survival, and it knows that emotions are really effective in order to get you to take some kind of action. Your mind knows that anger will motivate you to do something. So if a noise is heard and your mind thinks that it's a threat, it may create anger within you because it knows that that anger is going to motivate you to leave the room or ask the person to stop. So that's why also when I'm working with clients and in my signature program, Rewire Misophonia at the Source, we do focus quite a bit of time on understanding how to navigate and process emotions effectively. Because when you can understand what it is that your emotions are trying to get you to do, then you can kind of help recalibrate what actually constitutes danger or emergency or a threat. And when we can kind of rewire this understanding, because again, we don't want that part of our mind that signals danger, we don't want to completely shut that off, because it can be really useful. It can be life-saving. It's more that we're just kind of recalibrating that response, because right now the brain is reacting in a way that seems irrational. We know that a noise isn't actually going to kill us, and yet our response is as if it is a lion chasing after us in the wild. So it's just about recalibrating that response, and understanding how to process and navigate emotions can really support us in that recalibration process. And number three, it's a confusing thing to deal with. It's a confusing thing to experience. Those who experience misophonia, it's like we know it's this irrational response. We know that the response that we're having doesn't make sense given the trigger. Like hearing someone walking down the street whistling, it seems like an irrational response to then be like flying into a rage. And so I think that's also something that makes it so sticky. It's because it's something that we don't necessarily want to talk about. We don't really want to share with others because there is some shame and judgment and embarrassment that goes with the experience of misophonia. Do I think that anyone needs to feel embarrassed or shameful that they experience misophonia? Of course not. It's just a pattern that's operating, and we all have different patterns and programmings that make us who we are. There are people dealing with so many different kinds of things in the world, and misophonia is just one of those things. But I think that the stigma around it of, oh, it's just a noise, get over it. I think seeking that validation and seeking validation for your suffering is something that keeps people stuck in the suffering spiral. So also when I'm working with clients, that's actually the first thing that we focus on is shifting from the identity of, oh, I'm a misophone, this is who I am, to this is something that I experience and I have the capabilities and the motivation to uninstall this pattern and install something that's more useful. So creating that belief that transformation is possible, that is actually the first thing that I do with my clients before we move on to anything else. Because if you believe that there's nothing that you can do and that you're stuck with misophonia for the rest of your life, then that's the self-fulfilling prophecy. Then you're right. You'll be stuck with it forever. So installing that belief first, that change is actually possible, is really going to help set you up to actually do the work to get rid of this thing that is no longer serving you. Number 4, the other thing that makes misophonia so sticky is the fact that it's invisible. It is incredibly debilitating, and also it's not easy to look at a person and be like, oh, that person has misophonia. It's an invisible thing, and our reactions can be visible. But if a person doesn't experience misophonia, it can be really difficult to understand because, again, back to, number 3, it seems irrational, especially to people on the outside looking in. So because we don't have, a pair of crutches, or we don't have a cast on our leg, or we don't have some kind of deformity or something that is visible, that can also be really tricky. And I think it makes it easier, any kind of invisible illness or disability or disease, it becomes a lot easier for someone to invalidate that because they can't see it and they struggle to relate to it. Just because it is invisible does not mean that what you're experiencing isn't real. It doesn't make you crazy. Like I said before, we all experience different patterns and programmings and beliefs, and some of those are really useful for us, and some of them are not. But you experiencing misophonia does not make you crazy. And just because your friend or your sibling or whomever, just because they don't experience it, there's likely something in their life that they're struggling with right now, something that maybe they're not particularly happy with or satisfied with. As human beings, that's part of life. We're always going to experience different struggles, different challenges, different obstacles. That's part of what makes up the human experience. So just know that if you experience misophonia, you are not crazy. Your mind is working just fine. It's just operating a pattern that is no longer serving you. Okay, sorry if you heard my dog whining in the background. That's one of the dangers of recording in this environment. Someone dropped off a package at the front door, and so my dog had to make sure that I knew that this package was delivered. Anyway, moving on to number 5, the 5th point that I want to address today. Another thing that makes misophonia so sticky or difficult to get away from is simply how isolating it can be. I know when I was really struggling with misophonia, I didn't want to tell a lot of people about it. My closest friends and family members knew, but most people in my life never knew that this is something that I struggled with. I know for me personally, I didn't want other people to feel like they had to change their behavior around me. And also there were times when maybe I wouldn't tell someone that I had misophonia, but I would tell them some of my biggest triggers and just be like, hey, this noise really bothers me. Because those were the triggers that were just like, I would go into an immediate rage, like I just couldn't deal with. And there were people who took that and ran with it, and they would make those noises on purpose to make fun of me, to see me squirm. They thought it was hilarious. They thought it was funny, even though I was in a lot of pain. And unfortunately, this is something that people who experience misophonia are familiar with. If someone doesn't understand what you're going through, it can be easier for them to make it into a joke, to play it up, to lessen the severity of it. And so I think for a lot of people, they don't want to say that they have misophonia because they don't want that information to get into the wrong hands. And I think a lot more of us experience misophonia than what the statistics say, because people just don't want to talk about it because of all the reasons I just said, because of how emotional it is, because it happens automatically, because it does seem irrational or confusing or weird. And so people don't want to talk about it. The thing is, though, if you don't allow yourself to access the resources that can help you, that can support you, it does keep you trapped in that suffering spiral. And I'm here to let you know that there is something that you can do about it. And that's why I think it's so helpful when people who have experienced misophonia themselves are leading this kind of work. So the modalities that I use, that I use to eliminate my own misophonia and that I use with my clients, there are many, many people who are certified in the same modalities and could likely support you and help you move past this pattern that's been operating for years and years and years. What's valuable, though, about working with someone who has experienced it or is experiencing it is you don't have to worry about trying to validate your suffering or validate your experience, because the person you're working with gets it because they have or are experiencing it. And so that's something that makes this work really, really, I don't typically use the word important, but it's one of the things that makes this work so important to me, and why I feel like I was chosen to do this work is because people hop on a call with me and they feel at ease. They don't feel crazy. They don't feel like I'm judging them. They don't feel like I think that they're just overreacting. They're like, oh, this person gets it and they've been able to get rid of it. I want to do that. And so there's that trust there, there's that bond there, and that helps us actually get work done. If you have a connection with someone, if you trust them, it's going to be easier for your unconscious mind to engage in the work that is needed to uninstall the pattern of misophonia and move forward, just, being able to exist around those noises, just like everyone else around you. So when it comes to misophonia, I know, because, I created this video, I just talked all about it. I know that it can feel like a life sentence. I know it can feel like there's nothing that we can do about it. I know it feels difficult, hard, frustrating. I know what that suffering is like because I lived it for so many years. And also I'm here to tell you that there is something that you can do about it. I am living proof. My clients are living proof. You are not stuck with misophonia for the rest of your life. If you are committed to making a change, then transformation is possible. So if you want to get started, if you haven't already, check out the link in the video description. You can download my free PDF. It is the PDF to end your misophonia suffering spiral, I believe is what it's called. There'll be a picture here or something, and go to the link, you can download it. It is a free PDF that walks you through the 3 steps that are different, easier, and more effective than anything you've tried before to get relief from misophonia. So these are the 3 steps that are really going to help you get started and give you a taste for what unconscious reprogramming is really like and how I use it to support myself and support my clients. So thank you so much for watching another video on the Let's Ditch Misophonia channel. Make sure you download that free guide, and I will see you in the next video.